Good morning, Shelley, and welcome. Megan?
Thank you, Whoopi. Good morning.
Hello, Shelley. Thank you so much for coming on. Texas had been under stay-at-home orders since March 22nd, but on April 24th, you defied those orders and reopened your salon for business. We heard a snippet of your story in that clip that we just played, but can you please explain to everyone watching why you decided to reopen your salon?
Well, there were several reasons. I mean, obviously, we were all in a panic when this broke out and the virus was spreading, and of course, we were willing to shut down 2 weeks, even 3 weeks. But when the government help was not coming, and no one was really even replying to any SBA loans that we were applying for, unemployment in Texas, you couldn't get through. The website was crashing. My hairstylists were telling me, look, I'm about to go to people's houses to do hair because I just don't have any money. I decided to open because it's not safe for them, obviously, to be going to people's houses for them or their clients. And I just felt like if I opened, I could create a sterile environment and make it at least a lot safer and follow CDC guidelines and regulations. And I really just didn't want to be the reason why they weren't making money.
Right, and they say you could have avoided jail time if you had apologized to the judge. Do you think there's anybody that you should apologize to outside of the judge, like, you know, the folks that are working so hard on the front line, folks like that? Do they, you know, is it something you would have done for them as opposed to just saying to part of the government that wouldn't open up?
That's a good question, Whoopi. Of course, I'm appreciative and have friends that are, you know, the real heroes in this situation that are on the front lines and doing what they need to do in order to keep us all safe. But when I have other businesses like the pet groomer next door, that's been essential, quote unquote, the entire time. You could buy CBD oil. You could go to Home Depot and buy flowers. I mean, 200 people in the garden section. I didn't see why it would be any different for me to open up using much safer guidelines than what they were doing.
Shelley, you know, we do know that so many Americans are facing financial hardship because of this pandemic. But you applied for small business loans and unemployment, and you did receive some aid from the government. You received $18,000 from the government. So I understand why people feel so strongly about going back to work, because they feel that the government isn't doing its job and taking care of people. But in this instance, 2 days before you went to court, the money went into your account. So I'm troubled by that.
Yeah, I can see why you would be troubled. What happened was I already had the court date and I had already had been open the entire time. There was $18,000 dropped in my bank account with no notice of what it was. So I get no instructions. I think it's one of the loans, but I don't know how I'm supposed to spend it, what I'm supposed to spend it on. I know there's guidelines and regulations to that. And didn't want to put myself in deeper debt by spending it the wrong way, you know, and also having to close the salon. So until I got further instruction on that, I didn't want to spend it. And giving me $18,000 to spend when my stylists aren't actual employees of mine, they're actually subleasing. So I wasn't sure if I was even able to give them any of that money as employees because I don't pay them.
You know, Shelley, you've seen a show of support from political leaders, including your own governor and the president. Senator Ted Cruz even flew to Dallas on Friday to get a haircut at your salon from you. How much did Ted Cruz's visit mean to you?
I think anybody with any notoriety like that, it was a big deal for everybody, and it kind of uplifted the spirits of the hairstylists who have been kind of hiding and scared the whole time they were going to get their licenses taken away. And just to have anybody show up with notoriety that that cared about the situation and stood with us, we would have welcomed in the Salon with open arms. So we were very appreciative of that.
Shelley, coronavirus cases are already rising in Texas and across the country where restrictions have been lifted. And you worried about your staff and your customers. I would assume you're worried about your staff and customers getting sick since there's now an uptick because of people not following the rules, like yourself.
Well, I think that there's a rise in the COVID cases because there's more testing available, and that has been discussed before. So we expected a rise in the cases. What we need to look at is the number of deaths, if that is plateauing at all, and to make sure that we have room in our hospital beds. And Texas has plenty of room in their beds and are able to care for the people that need to come in at this time. As a matter of fact, there's doctors and nurses getting furloughed because there's not enough work.
Okay, well, the one thing that I do want to point out, Shelley, before we go is that, I understand why you did what you did, but I would like to hear you put some of that fury and that passion towards the governments that didn't take care of the people, because that's what they're supposed to do. So I want you to get out there and fight for all those folks who are not getting what they're supposed to be getting and not getting the information that they need. And then I think I'll feel better about watching you tell people, I'm feeding my people. I get it. We thank you for coming in, Shelley. Come back and let us know how it's going.